Hello guys, it's me Andy, and special guest today, probably always, Timber. Yeah, I know, very needy, very needy. So, I'm going to be doing some videos for you guys. We're all cooped up inside, and I thought it would be a great time to kind of talk a little bit more about my life and how I became a zookeeper and why I love things like St. Bernards and panda bears. I know, yes, okay. If Timber will let me. Anyways, today we're gonna talk about why I love pandas so much, and why my name has been Andie and Pandas since I can't remember. Yeah, I know. It was before you were around. That's for sure. Okay, are we gonna do this the whole time? I've been called Andie Panda since I can remember. That was kind of my nickname growing up. My dad always called me Andie Panda. So it's always stuck with me. I think it was mainly because my mom was obsessed with pandas and she had all these like panda things everywhere she got. Everyone would get her like panda stuff. They're just so lovable, like cute, adorable, and just silly, and I don't know, I relate a lot with pandas. Just kind of clumsy and, you know, just hanging out, enjoying life. Anyway, so she loved pandas. She had, like I said, all these cool trinkets and stuff. This is one of her, like, first little panda trinkets. And so we just had an accumulation of panda things throughout our house and throughout our lives. You know, I vividly remember this really cool panda cookie jar and everything panda all the time. So always grew up loving them. And yeah, my nickname was Andie Panda. It's just what my dad called me. I remember in kindergarten we had to do a project on animals and do a big presentation on a stage in front of all our parents and everything. And everybody got to pick their own animal. So I picked the endangered panda and dressed up as it and everything. And so, you know, whenever I had projects or anything in school, it was always about pandas. Which is really cool. I mean, I've just always loved pandas. And we'll do another video at some point about how I became a zookeeper, but part of that process was figuring out what I wanted to work with, what I wanted to do, how I wanted to help save wildlife. And I've always been obsessed with pandas, obviously. So I was trying to figure out a way that I could work with them. As many of you probably know, there's not a lot of them in the world, let alone in the United States or any place outside of China, really. China does own all the giant pandas, and I knew that if I wanted to work with them, I would have to go to China to do it. So this was my junior year of college over the summer. I had done a 2-month trip volunteering at some wildlife sanctuaries in Thailand, and I kind of wanted to combine it all because I was already over there with a month-long working internship at the biggest giant panda breeding center in the world in China. So I did a lot of research. There's not a lot of places you can work with pandas. There's not a lot of places that allow volunteers outside of China and people that are working there. But this one place did, and it was in the Thingxia. It's this tiny little mountain town. If you go to the big city, Chengdu, that's where I flew into. Then you take about a 3-hour, maybe longer, I don't know, it was a long time ago, bus ride like up into the mountains. That's where I was doing the work at this giant panda breeding center, and this place was insane. Like, it was huge. They just had acres. I mean, it was in the middle of nowhere in the mountains, but it was gorgeous. It was right in their habitat, and they were kind of leading the science behind breeding giant pandas and had the biggest population of them that they could do that with. And right when I was there, it was actually the time, I don't know if any of you have seen the Disney Nature documentary that they did on the giant panda, but that was actually the base that I was volunteering at, so that was really cool. They just finished filming right before I got there. So I got to be working with people there that were at the forefront of giant panda research and breeding, and I got a lot of really cool opportunities while I was there. I was able to help out with the daily husbandry in the morning, so that was, you know, cleaning their enclosures, their inside holding, their outside holding, hauling a lot of bamboo in and out of places. The pandas eat so much bamboo, you cannot even imagine. We also were helping to supplement that because it's just so time consuming and requires a lot of investment to feed, like, I don't know. The team that I was on, we were responsible for like 15 pandas, but obviously they're split up in a bunch of different things. And just the 15 pandas, like most of the time I was just like hauling bamboo in and chewed up bamboo out. But we also supplemented it with some food cakes that we made for them. We had, you know, some carrots, we had these like bamboo paste cakes, sometimes some fruits and apples and things like that that we used more as treats as well. They used for training. And also the bamboo shoots were really high and dense in nutrients, so those would also be used as treats as well. The pandas really, really liked those ones. So yeah, the 15 pandas that I worked with, they were really, really cool. I don't know if any of you have heard the sound that a panda makes, but we're gonna go ahead and play that for you right now because it is beyond adorable. I know, right? So adorable. I like couldn't get over the fact that I got to record that video. But anyways, that was one of the male pandas that I worked with there, and they had those big outdoor holdings and then the indoor holdings. We did all of most of our training and stuff inside. And aside from him, they were all really cute. I don't honestly remember most of their names. It was a long time ago, and all the time I was working with Chinese zookeeper who didn't speak English, so it was kind of a big communication barrier there, trying to figure out who was who and what exactly I was supposed to do and everything. But we managed, and one of them I do remember was this mom and her 2 babies, which was the highlight of what I got to do because baby panda's adorable. So I tried to, as much as I could, get on that rotation and spend as much time over there with the 2 babies who were just beyond adorable. And yeah, it was honestly not a ton of work. They did allow us to help a lot with it, which was great, but it was only about 2 to 3 hours in the morning that we were actually working with the pandas or, you know, helping do husbandry and zookeeping duties. And the rest of the time they didn't really have much for us to do. So it was a lot like right now, actually, come to think of it. Being alone in the middle of nowhere, isolating yourself from lots of people. Yeah, it was a strange time. The place that we stayed was up in the base, so the only thing that was around the base was the hostel that we stayed in, that the international volunteers stayed in, and the panda base. They had this zoo that was down the mountain a little bit from the panda base. It was insane. I was not a huge fan of it. I'll show you a few. It was basically a drive-through zoo, but you're inside a van and you're feeding animals through the holes in the van. It was crazy. Yeah, there's a video of that with a tiger and that kind of stuff. Would never happen here at an AZA zoo. There's a lot of reasons for that. We won't get into it. But anyways, I had no idea what kind of zoo it was going into it. And I had a whole month of time to occupy myself with things to do. So I did that once and did not go back there again. There was a little market there that I hung out in, but most of the time I was just walking around the panda base. I mean, that was nice that I was able to do that. So I got to really see a ton of pandas. They just watch them playing and everything and just being cute. We had some babies in the nursery that I would just go stand by there and watch them working with the babies, which was, again, adorable. Aside from that, I did some hiking while I was up there because we were in the mountains. But yeah, it was a lot of downtime, kind of hanging out in the mountains of China. I found out that while I still absolutely love and adore giant panda bears, always will, I didn't necessarily want to work with them after that experience. Like I said, it was a lot of physical labor. I mean, any kind of zookeeping job is a lot of physical labor, but it was a lot of just hauling bamboo, cleaning, and I didn't get to do a lot of the training or anything, and they are receptive to training. They are smart, you can tell, and they all have individual personalities and stuff, but they're a lot of work. And I had previously, the summer before, worked with ambassador cheetahs, and I think when I had worked with ambassador cheetahs, I realized, oh my god, this is my calling. Like, I love this so much. And I think I was kind of expecting the same response when I went to go work with the giant pandas, but I did not have the same reaction to the pandas as I did the cheetahs, which kind of blew my mind because obviously I've always been obsessed with giant pandas. So it was a big turning point for me, thinking, this was what I always wanted to do, and realizing maybe not so much. It was obviously still really amazing, and I did meet some cool people while I was there, a lot of people from all over the world, but it was an interesting time. I mean, honestly, the coolest thing was interacting with the pandas, because not a lot of places in the world you can do that at all, really, except for here, so that was obviously amazing. And it was so after my time up at the panda base, I had a few days before I was going back to the States to explore Chengdu, in the big city that I had flown into originally. And I knew that they had a really good zoo down there, so I really wanted to go there. So I went to the Chengdu Zoo, which was amazing. If you ever are making your way to Chengdu in the Sichuan province of China, highly recommend. They had great exhibits, great interactive areas. They had a walk-through red panda habitat, which was insane. I had never been that close to a red panda before, but it was this huge aviary, and you just walked through, and the red pandas were just hanging out, just like you were walking through the forest with them. This was at the zoo, so it was really cool. And they had a lot of really great educational interactive exhibits where you could learn about the conservation work that they've done with giant pandas over the years, the trajectory of how their conservation has helped and is continuing to help save the panda, the history of it, the history of pandas in China and worldwide. It was just really, really cool. Also had an opportunity, a behind-the-scenes tour where you could meet a panda. So that's where my famous picture comes from, of me sitting right next to a giant panda cub. They're really strict about it because these are obviously critically endangered animals. So you were limited to 1 minute only, and they timed you exactly for how long you could sit next to the panda. We had to be in full protective gear, gloves, gown, booties, to make sure we're not giving anything to the pandas as well. And yeah, it was really, really cool. They, you're just like sitting there, and then they come and set the panda down right next to you. It was kind of insane. I maybe blacked out a little bit because I don't really remember. It was amazing. It was just so cute. Love pandas, obviously. So yeah, that was it. It was just one little 1 minute sit sitting with Panda next to me as he was eating his little bamboo shoot. And that was kind of the end of my trip in China. I ended it with that experience, which was amazing. And then I headed back stateside. So I had quite the time in China. It was fun. I learned a lot, obviously. But I also learned, you know, that what I'm doing right now is really, really great. And it took a while for me to get to this point where I'm here in Cincinnati as a cheetah keeper, educator, trainer. But it was one of my lifelong dreams to work with pandas. And I got to do that, which is really amazing. And I wanted to share that with you all, a little bit of why I love pandas so much. But like I said, probably the main reason that pandas still mean so much to me is they are a tie to my parents. My dad always called me Andie Panda, and my mom loved pandas, so it's just kind of more innately who I am and where I come from. But also, I just think that they are a great symbol for conservation and what we can do as humans to help save wildlife worldwide. And the giant panda is a perfect example of that. It's a universal symbol to conserve our natural resources, to help save what we unfortunately have caused with so many species to go endangered or extinct. And it's hope. I think the panda is something that can put a smile on anyone's face, right? Their hope that we can help to conserve nature's resources and save these animals that we love so much. Okay, Timber had to come back for the last part of the video. All right, thank you, buddy. What do you have to say about pandas? Here. All right. All right, here's from my panda to you guys. Thanks for following along. If you like this video, go ahead and share it with some friends, some people that are at home as well during this crazy time. You gonna be a panda? Okay. And let me know what kind of videos you want to see in the future. I think I was gonna do one about why I became a zookeeper, and how I became a zookeeper. But also try to do some on some of the animals I work with. Whatever you guys want to see. I've got a lot of cool stories to share, a lot of cool content to share as well. So just let me know, and thanks for following along at all this time. So from Andie Panda to you guys.